Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Suzanne Wachtel, Living Your Best Life podcast. I'm always thinking about when things come up in my life, my patients' lives, what seems to be of most importance? What is the pattern? What is really going on for a lot of people at the time that I do the podcast? So today I want to talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is such a simple word to forgive, to say you're sorry. But when you truly are able to forgive somebody who has hurt you, who has disappointed you, who has not lived up to what you thought they needed to, whether it's a parent, a child, a friend, a spouse, a boss, a coworker, a neighbor. Forgiveness, it will bring you joy. Forgiveness will bring you peace. So how do you forgive? Well, it's very easy to say, just forgive them. A lot of people are stubborn and they hold on to their anger, which is really pain in disguise. It's a powerful form of pain. When you're in pain or you're hurt, you can usually measure it, how badly you're hurt, by the amount of anger you're feeling. So when someone is in pain, they've been hurt, disappointed, left out, abandoned, rejected, betrayed, whatever the case may be, the automatic defense is to become hurt, obviously, disappointed, and angry. But when we can identify this feeling and really stand back and not look at it from a personal point of view and look at it as if you are looking at that other person with curiosity. Why did they behave that way? What motivated them? What is there? A lot of people say, don't therapize everything. Well, you know what? I like to do that because when I see somebody behaving poorly or in bad judgment per se, or not kindly, or just in a very disappointing way, I always try to be curious, to wonder why or where it came from. Were they hurt in their past? Are they insecure and defensive? Like, what is motivating them to be this person, to do these things that are so offensive? Once you figure out where it's coming from, it's much simpler to not take it personally and to let it go. Now, years ago, I saw Mel Gibson's version, and I'm Jewish, of the Christ movie, where when Christ is going up the hill with his cross to be killed. And he was a philosopher, and he had a wonderful attitude and outlook on everything. And when the people were laughing at him and throwing stones at him, and his mother and his wife or partner at the time came running over, oh my God, they're terrible, this is horrible. And his comment was, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So even back, hundreds, thousands years ago, Jesus really figured out that these mean, angry, brutal people were just ignorant. And they did not know what they were doing. And to not be like them and be as angry and hostile. So to me, that is the perfect example of forgiving and forgiveness, is to just, even as Mel Robbins says, let them, don't take it on. So forgiveness, I have an example. I'm 67, but I was married when I was 19 to an attorney in New York City. And, we had a relationship and did get married, and it lasted 7 years and 1 child later. He happened to be a divorce attorney in the city, and I just could not tolerate the way he treated me, his behavior, his betrayals, etc. And he did not have my back at the time at all. And so I chose at 22 years old to leave him living in Manhattan with a child. And it became the battle of a lifetime. He represented himself. He was very wealthy. And I only say that because it allowed him to continue to fight and continue to really punish and torture me. What happened then just goes on. Back in the days, you could take your child and go away. It wasn't considered kidnapping. And in fact, he did do that. And he left with my 2-year-old child for 8 months. I didn't know where they were. And this became a huge ordeal in my life. In fact, it was a pivotal changing point. It was one of those crossroads where there was nothing I could do. There was no police or FBI involvement. The only thing I could do was to look at the situation and do what I could do to take care of myself. I could go for therapy, which I did. I found a fantastic woman who treated me 2 times a week for a full year. And I really got my head together. I got my mental health in check, my physical health in check. And my goal was to be the best I could be when the day I found my child again, which I did 8 months later. And we did somewhat resolve our differences and come up with an agreement where we co-parented. At first, pretty roughly. And then I had to forgive him. And I had to forgive him because my son was suffering. My son, who was 3-4 years old at the time, was in the middle. And one day I'll never forget, he said, "Mommy, when you say mean things about my dad and when he says mean things about you, it hurts my heart. It feels like it's breaking." Therefore, I've told this story before because it's so significant and powerful. I made a choice, an effort and a choice to forgive him, to understand that he was wounded and that I needed to forgive him and let it go. And to this day, 50 years later, we are still friendly. We speak often. And that feeling of letting go and forgiving is just so powerful and empowering. And I wanted to share it today and give you all the opportunity to let go, forgive, understand, not take it personally. No matter what happens, someone cuts you off, maybe they're lost. Somebody's mean to you, maybe they're going through a hard time. Somebody is cruel, then perhaps you just don't want to be friends with them, but nevertheless, forgiveness, in my opinion, is the key to peace, the key to joy, the key to happiness, and you'll have a much better quality of life. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope this has helped.